agenda is to approve the October 14th, 2024 meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve the minutes.
And a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Moving on, consider project ideas from the.
Take a vote.
Oh, yep, thank you. Take a vote.
All in favor?
All in favor? I thank you.
Do you want to go around and do attendance too?
Oh,
Thank you.
sorry. Yeah, I've never had to do this before here, so. All right, so introductions, yeah, I'm Elizabeth Whalen, Vice Chairperson, City of Wisconsin, so
I'm Susan Faust.
Chair.
Hi there, I'm Jake Guzzi. I work just across the room at the police department, and I'm just a humble guest today. So,
Jay Klingford, staff.
Jeff Benscover, Alderman, District 4.
Lee Tall, Commission member.
Dawn DeSorcy, staff.
Chris Tech Commission member.
Matt Zacher, Mayor.
Kevin Fanning, citizen.
Hi, I'm Barb Scanlon. I'm here with Susan for the dog park.
And I'm Marcus Wilcox. I'm a guest with Susan as well.
Thanks for joining us. So item 3, consider project ideas from the ACE leadership class for park improvements.
all right. Well, again, I'm Jake Guzzi. I was fortunate enough to get picked to be a part of the 2024 ACE leadership group. We went around at our first meeting and tried to figure out how we could improve the community. We had probably 40 ideas up on the board, and the idea that we thought of and voted on as a group was to take a look at Woods Grove Park. If everyone's familiar where that is, it's 16th Street between Washington and I want to say Apricot Street. It's a very, very exclusive, secluded little park, kind of almost landlocked, minus 2 easements, one on the east and one on the west side of 16th, and then down to 14th Street. We thought of that park and the potential that it could have for that neighborhood and that area. There's not a lot in it right now. It's basically a field with a very old baseball diamond that there's really not a diamond there anymore. It's just kind of a backstop, and I feel like we agreed that it could be better utilized, or at least revamped. So what we were thinking is maybe we would like to see an improvement to the easement so that people actually know, number one, that there's a park there, and maybe a trail or a walk path, maybe a couple benches. We're not thinking anything too extravagant that would cost a ton of money, just something to let people know that there is a useful park there, and that maybe people will actually use it. So a few of the ideas that we thought of were obviously the easements, let people know how to get there and to use it, but we are not naive to the fact that there are properties around the entire park. I went out there and took a look at it, and it's kind of difficult to figure out exactly where everyone's property line is in that park. And what we don't want to do is upset any of the people that live right there. Because if you live there, that's an awesome exclusive little private park to yourself, but it is still a city park. So we are just trying to figure out what our jumping off point is going to be, and that's why they sent me here today, and how we can hopefully get approval for some of those improvements, basically what we need to do, or how we can get started on that. So that was our project that we decided on, and hopefully we can do something to maybe beautify it or give it a facelift is the word I think that we used. So
Have you talked to any of the neighbors?
we have not yet. I certainly have not. So
They do seem to think that it's exclusively their park, the ones that I've seen, and Bill, he owns the property on Apricot Street where the easement is. And he had made some noise about maybe wanting to put a garage up. I think he approached the city, the planning and zoning people, and I don't really know if that got decided upon or not. This is about a year ago, so
Sure.
I'm sure something is either in the works or not in the works, but I know he's concerned about what happens there.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we realize, you know, it could potentially be a very bittersweet thing for us to be going and making these improvements to the park, especially when it's in people's backyard and people have been there for years and years. And, well, if you've lived there long enough and it's just a field, it kind of feels like your own backyard. But we also thought for, you know, the greater good of the community, even just to have an actual baseball diamond there, it's such a safe, cool little park for, you know, kids to go and you know, people to walk dogs if they can. I don't know if they allow dogs in that particular park. But regardless, we thought that would be a kind of a cool, inexpensive, little facelift to that area. So, yeah, we're aware of the potential opposition, but I think that the benefits of the improvements would outweigh that. So now, again, this is literally our first jumping off point of the idea, so, are we thinking like, we would probably wanna talk to all of the property owners that have property adjacent to that park and just kind of see what their thoughts are, or, I guess, I don't know.
There are 2 baseball diamonds 4 blocks away
Yeah,
that
I
are
was
not
thinking.
very utilized at all.
True.
You know, I mean, that's just life,
Right.
yeah, you know. I'm not speaking in opposition to any of this, I'm just presenting
Yep.
what I know.
No, for sure. And when this one got brought up, we weren't thinking anything too like extravagant or grand. You know, just something to make sure that we keep that park an actual park. You know, so it just doesn't get put off to the wayside so that people forget about it completely, because we know it's pretty close to Robinson Park. But what a cool little opportunity and there are quite a few kids in that area too, to go and just have a nice safe little area to play in, so that was our thoughts.
How about a volleyball pit or a badminton pit?
Yeah, and we're completely open to any of that stuff. I think one thing we were trying to avoid was any sort of like gazebo or anything with a roof. Cause being an officer, I'm aware that anything with, you know, a shelter or roof might attract homeless people or delinquents that have poor intentions of going to the park for the wrong reasons. So we were going to try to keep it as open as possible, not do too many crazy things with it, and just, you know, hopefully it will get utilized a little bit more. And I think the biggest thing is that people don't even know it exists. So I don't know if maybe some different signage and a better easement, maybe a paved easement, would be a good starting point for that. So that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, I like the idea, maybe something simple like a swing set or a picnic table or something. Do we have anything in that 5-year plan that we just completed last year?
I think it's right.
That was.
It's in the packet.
that's part of it. Oh, this
Yep.
is what was in,
Yeah.
okay,
Yep.
so this is what was in the 5-year plan? So to do a play structure, the asphalt, sign, some benches, and trash receptacles.
Is the entrance off of 16th?
The main entrance, yes, yeah, it's off the 16th. I know, meeting with the ACE leadership group, prior to this meeting, a couple weeks ago, they did talk about fundraising. So that's why I did ask them, like, would this something become out of like the parks budget? And they said, no, they would do a fundraising for this. So I'm open to the idea of starting small and kind of see how it goes. I have no issues putting, you know, benches in there or picnic tables, some trash and recycling receptacles. Just having 2 baseball fields down the road.
Yeah.
Kinda, not saying we can do something small, but maybe a smaller diamond for a kickball.
Sure.
Or something. But I think it's a park that probably needs a little attention, just to let people know it's even there.
I would like to, you know, I think one of the issues is the lack of delineation and I think you would almost need to, I mean, if it was my home right there and, you know, there was, I mean, I would probably have that sense of ownership a little bit, you know, with it there. And I would maybe want to, I mean, I hate to say, maybe put up bushes or something around the border just to make it seem, you know, like, okay, don't go into these people, this is their backyard, don't go into there, you know, if you're playing kickball or baseball or whatever, but.
Some sort of
Is there a
fence.
parking, I mean, from the pictures on the page there, it kinda looks like during the utility work, was there a parking lot made there?
No, I think that's where the street department kinda set up shop when they were
Okay.
redoing, I forgot which, Washington maybe?
Okay, so
A
there's,
couple years
there's
ago.
no parking
There's
or
no-
anything,
I think
that's,
even there's a sign that says no cars past this point.
okay, so that driveway thing there is,
It's always
that's-
been there, but probably just got more
Okay.
developed when they
Okay.
had construction crews in there.
mm,
But I think otherwise, it's all street parking, either along 16th Street or, Apricot.
I would guess that most of the people sit out there in their backyard at night and just lounge and, you know, kinda consider that theirs, but then again, I don't know. That's what I would be doing if I was
That's probably what
there.
I would do too.
Yeah, there's no traffic, there's really no kids and a bike goes through there, they
Right.
all end up at Robinson for whatever reason, the Frisbee court, and we had talked about a volleyball court in Robinson Park at a meeting or two ago. There's plenty of room for that, so,
put in a shuffleboard, you know,
Yeah.
it seems like a shuffleboard place.
I guess I like the idea of having bushes or something
Mhm.
to block for the neighbors so they feel that they still have their privacy.
I mean, but with that, I mean, I don't really want to do like a fence, because that would fence them off in a way, you know, and not give the owners access, but at least just, you know, and the spacing, I mean, I wouldn't want it to be solid line of bushes, you know, but just enough so that people understood that there is, you know, a difference between the park property and the private property. I would turn it into a bird sanctuary, but, you know, that's just me.
It's the Bird City.
So I guess, I don't know if we wanna if you guys come back with better ideas on what, prioritize,
Sure.
what you guys can fundraise.
Yes,
I
so,
think this was kinda just a good opening to ideas for this park, so.
for sure.
Yeah, do a bunch of-
So our group actually split up into two, and traditionally for the ACE leadership groups, they have two different community projects that they work on separately. But there was an overwhelming support to revamp this park from the entire group, that we decided to just split those two groups up. One group is working on like funding and trying to figure out how to get things into that park, and the other group is working on, and the part that I'm a part of is awareness essentially, and approvals and things like that. So we just, again, an overwhelming support of everyone thinking that that would be a really awesome idea to just revamp that park, because it has a lot of potential, and we had discussed a fence too, and I think most of the people agreed that a fence, it might have some people put up some major opposition, as opposed to like shrubs or something like that. Yeah, it definitely needs to be some sort of clear boundaries on the or at the property, but if you wanna see people push back, put a fence up in their backyard, and that's what we're trying to avoid, you know, we don't want to do anything like that. So, then I can bring this information back to the rest of the group, and you want some more cut-dried ideas as far as what we want to see done with the park?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think anyone would agree on that, but something, something on paper, I guess.
Sure.
See how much fundraising you guys
Yeah.
can get. Obviously, things aren't cheap.
Right,
Yeah.
for sure.
And I did offer a different, maybe a different direction, 'cause I know we talked about going like a 1 to 3 year plan at Robinson Park if they, we wanna include you guys on doing something like that over Robinson Park, or I know we're talking about ideas at the dog park, but it kinda sounded like you guys wanted not to piggyback on someone else's idea and kinda do your own.
Yeah.
So, but I did.
We're not
put that
looking to
out there.
draw from anyone else's, so.
kinda snoopy. I'd like to see what other ideas you came up with.
Sure.
Your leadership group, just 'cause that interests me, you know, and see what other people are thinking and, you know,
Sure.
I don't know,
When is the next Parks and Rec meeting gonna be
maybe
held?
the first, whatever, next
Yeah,
month.
next-
Second Monday of the
second
month.
Monday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
sounds
would,
good.
I would be curious, to see if you talk to the neighbors, if they have ideas
Sure.
themselves. I mean, obviously, they live right there, they might have some, you know, they probably think about it a lot, you know, if there was something I, you know, could see in that park, what would it be? And just kinda asking those people,
That's a good idea.
so.
We can certainly do that. We have plenty of people, so. Well, thank you everyone for considering the ideas and appreciate you letting me be here tonight, so.
Okay, thanks for joining.
Thanks, Jim. Yep.
All right.
Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, sounds good. All right, thanks. Take care.
All right. Moving on to agenda item 4, discuss the Rapids Room to Zoom Dog Park volunteers and activities. Susan, you got that?
Another idea I was coming up with was more waste stations, sorry, I only printed out one of these, so you can just maybe pass it around. And then benches.
Leave the benches.
I guess personally, my first priority would be definitely getting up those stumps. Because I just tripped again today and I was watching where, obviously I wasn't watching very well where I was walking, but, and it was just, again, it was about this big and about that big around, and you just hit your toe on it and you just kinda do a couple of trips. Did Shane ever get a hold of you? No, okay. I'll give you his number and maybe we can work backwards on that. Cause I met a gentleman, he works at, I think he owns the company or works at the company, Northern Tree Service. And he brought his dog out there and he said that he would bring his company out here with the stump grinders. And he has a rake and they have a chip grinder, wood chip grinder as well. And then we would have to close the park for the day cause machines are coming in. And then again, if we have volunteers, well, they're grinding it, everything up, they can move to the next one, and then the volunteers can maybe fill in the holes or whatever. And if they do have extra wood chips, you know, they can just lay them out and then the volunteers can maybe put them on the path. He suggested at least a good 6-inch deep wood chip around the path, because whatever stumps, again, will come up, the wood chips will pack it down. So that's, I guess, first of all, that's my priority as I see it, that we need to get the path at least somewhat cleaned up. Just so, and it's not just even the path, like if there's a stump in the middle, just so people don't trip. If you get a light layer of snow, now I went in there and I just used a regular can of paint. I know that wasn't tree paint or anything, it's fading already, and all I had was white. Well, I had white or red, so I just painted them white and you could see that they're fading already, just to kind of give you people a heads up of what's going on. But once that first layer of snow comes, I'm kind of thinking it might be more of an accident for some people. So that's my, and again, if we can get a hold of this guy, he said he would do it for free. So, and I don't know if we would have to figure out liability. He said he's already insured, his company is already insured, and then I would assume that the volunteers would have to sign a waiver of some sort. We could bring in our own rakes and shovels, if, depending on how much wood chips are delivered or whatever, wheelbarrows or little wagons or something like that for the volunteers to use. Then my suggestion was, if they do this, would we have a budget to maybe give them some lunch, like as a thank you? You know, just go to Subway and buy all, it's just the crew, not the volunteers. Just something that, to say thank you that, you know, you brought your equipment out. So that was the one thing, and then as my guest, this is Marcus. He is a wood teacher in Nakusa, so I called him up and I asked him if he would be able to build us some waste stations with his students, and he said yes, so it would only cost the city the materials, wood, nails, hinges, maybe paint. I don't know if we're doing the paint. So this is again from Room to Roam. They have probably at least 15 way stations, and it's probably every 50 feet. I'm not good at average of like how far away this is to that. The more way stations you have, the less excuse people have, because right now in our park, we only have 5. So if I come walking in and I miss the first one, and now I'm out in the middle of the park and I'm throwing ball for my dog, and my dog goes to the bathroom, I have to walk all the way over there to get a bag, to walk all the way there over here to find it. And 90% of the time, even when I'm looking at my dog, it's hard to find because of the wood chips and the wood and.
Don't most people just grab bags when they come in?
Yeah, some people do, but most people don't. If you sit there and watch them, they don't.
It's just people being lazy.
It's just, yeah, it is. Or, you know, like I walk the path and then my dog will kind of go off. So if I don't see him, or if I do see him, then if I don't have a bag, then I gotta again go halfway across the park. When you first walk in, there is a station right there. But then if you take a right, you go all the way down the fence, and then you go all the way down the other fence. That's where the next one is.
Right, in the corners.
In the corner, but
Yeah.
there's not one in the first corner, adjacent to the small dog park. So right when you first walk in.
So where did we get the original poop stations? I mean, cause those are consistent with what we have in the city and other
They are,
places, right?
dog
So,
waste, yeah, and they were
Okay.
all donated by companies.
okay,
Yeah, cause the
okay.
company that donated them has their, logo on it or their name on it. Yes, these are kind of,
I guess I just, so who's emptying these ones, I mean, at Rome cause right now, it's the city,
City staff.
the city
Right.
staff that's going around, how often do they do that?
3 times a week, Monday,
Okay.
Wednesday, Fridays.
Yeah, so how much more time would that take them, if they have to,
Depends, I mean, they obviously don't empty it if it's not full, or
Right.
not at least halfway full.
do they drive around to do that, or do they?
Not in the summertime, wintertime, they probably will.
Okay.
so how do they do that in the summertime? Like, do they just walk around and just grab the bag, tie it up?
It's usually
and-
sent 2,
Okay.
2 staff.
Okay. Well, how they do this in Rome is they just have a plastic sled and they wrote dog park on it. Sometimes it gets stolen, sometimes it doesn't, and then we just kind of drag it around, but the volunteers do that. But I'm just thinking that it's kind of nice because then, again, everybody brings their bags. You still can have the bags that the city has, but I mean, I don't know if anybody else has a lot of grocery bags in your closet, the extra bags. So this whole lid lifts up and then everyone just puts their bags in there. And it's from wherever, it's all the plastic bags. So I thought might save the city a little bit of money. And then the garbage can is mounted to that, so then nobody can take it. And then of course there's a sign on each one. And this little box over here, again, is optional because that's where they keep the extra garbage bags. In the beginning, they did have a problem, but now everybody kind of knows it and there's not much theft. So I'm not really sure if that's what we would want to do at this dog park at first, because I kind of feeling if you put a roll of bags in there, they're gonna be gone. And then the other option is, and I didn't take a picture on the back, they have a basket, just like a wire basket from Dollar General, and so that's where all the balls and the toys go. So then when you guys mow, you don't have to mow up all the balls, or you don't have to keep getting off. And then what they also do is the city will contact the head volunteer to say on Tuesday next week, early in the morning, our city guys are gonna come in and mow. So the night before, they put out on Facebook, hey, can everyone come over and pick up all the toys, pick up all the poop, so that when the city comes in, it's pretty clean. So, and that's what I'm trying to get as well as the volunteers. So if we can eventually correlate times that the city knows about when they're gonna come in and mow, we can come in the day before, the 2 days before, pick up all the dog toys and that kind of stuff. So the park will look nicer. So I know these are little kind of big and offensive, but, and then the benches, I thought for more benches. And again, if you look, they also have them on 2x4s, so, when the guys do have to mow, it's super easy just to skid over. And then the benches are the same. They just, the guys mow, then they move back to where the mower is, and then they go back again. This is a smaller picture. Sorry, guys. This is a smaller picture I have of those flower boxes I was kind of telling you about. So right now, we have water jugs. We have 2 water jugs at every table, and then people are bringing in their own dog bowls. They're keeping them there. But now that the water's turned off, they're not as full, so I'm asking every time I'm there at the park, I always say, hey, if anybody sees an empty water jug, can you put it between the 2 gates so they don't blow around or the dogs don't chew on them? Or if you want to take them home and fill them up and bring them back. So, and I've been kind of doing that, so I got myself a little sled, and if I have like 4 or 5 gallons, I throw it on the sled and I take it around the park. And I think, again, if we have more volunteers doing stuff like that, people see it, and then they go, oh, well, maybe I should do that too. So I'm hoping that will kind of take off. So the flower boxes would be part of the cost as well, but again, you don't need to have them hanging at the back of the fence. You can also have them at the back of the way stations too. So that's another option. So Marcus, do you want to tell them what we had talked about?
Yeah, so I guess I teach in Nakusa. I run the shop and technology courses there, and so I'm always looking for opportunities for our students to work on projects for the educational value, and also to have those outlets where their work is going out into the community and they feel a part of their community. And so from our perspective, anything that would be of interest for us to help construct, we gladly do that and do the, we calculate materials, budgeting, those are all great learning activities for students. And then, with approval, we would go ahead and construct those and make it deliverable. So I have more students this year than last, and we have a lot of opportunity for projects to come online this year. We've done a lot of shed builds and benches for Town of Rome, et cetera. So anything that the committee would be interested in having us do, we'd be happy to do that.
And you get your lumber from Smith Lumber?
We've been primarily purchasing through Smith Lumber in Nakusa. They were extremely competitive on price for us. Last year for the city, we did a boardwalk, 104 foot over a wetland, and then a deck observation platform. And they came in under cost of what even St. Menards could provide us the materials for.
So just these, if anybody else has any other ideas, smaller, bigger, I'm open. I just thought these were just ideas to kind of put it out there, so anybody that
And were you doing fundraising for these? Was that part of?
Well, yeah, I was going to try, yes, but
Okay.
now that we're kind of in the winter time, I'm gonna try to do some fundraisers for the park so we can either get more benches or, people were talking about lighting out there. I know the park closes at dusk, which is hard in the winter time because, if people don't get off work till 3 or 4, by the time they get home to get their dog, the park is closed. So the fundraising for me, again, years down the road, if we can get some lighting out there, and a lot of people are suggesting solar lights, just so that the park can be utilized at night. Because again, if you get off of work even at 3:30, when I was working at the school, I'd get off at work at 3:30, leave, come home, change clothes, do whatever. I get to the park at 4. Well, I have, maybe 15 minutes come January, December. So if we could get more lighting out there, I think people would utilize it more. And, I talked to other people too, and they said, well, you don't want them out here at night because of the vandals and that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, if they're gonna vandal, they're gonna vandal. They're gonna hop that 6-foot fence or 5-foot fence. So it doesn't really matter if it's closed or not. And really, we don't need that much lighting because we have that street light right on Saratoga. And then in that, again, when you're looking at the park from the parking lot, so you have that light, and then off to the right, there's that business, and, that kinda shines, it's just that back left corner. So maybe if we just put 2 lights there, but that would be my fundraiser for the summer, to raise money for the lights. So, I think my 2 biggest concerns would be getting the stumps removed as quick as can before the winter, and then also the waste containers. 'Cause again, I think if we have more, at least 5 more, I think people would be more apt to pick it up and utilize it. And then it might save some money with having people bring in plastic bags, and that might take a while for everyone to kinda get used to that, but that might save the city a little bit money instead of buying the bags.
What do you think, Jake, about the stumps?
It's a lot of information.
And we've had a person come in there and do stump grinding before. We built this park out of a forest, so
Right.
stumps are just roots are gonna.
Right.
You can't really, you could go this winter and then next year we're doing the same thing, so, not saying I'd love to talk to Shane about going in there and doing something like that, but again, I think it's gonna be, could be an every year thing to do, so.
Well, that's why he said the only way to really get rid of them is putting a good base of wood chips or peat gravel or something, because you're right, it's always going to erode if you just have the dirt.
Yeah, being sand country out there.
Right.
We can put more dog waste stations, doesn't mean everyone's gonna use them.
Right.
And I really like the biodegradable bags that we have, so people bringing in their pick and save bags, Walmart bags, those don't really dissolve like the bags that we supply. But it would be nice to have a little cost savings on that. I think the benches is a great idea, having more benches out there. Actually, I went hunting with Nate Strelo this weekend, and he mentioned something about that to me. So, yeah, I think, maybe just retract a little bit and go back to what we want to prioritize. Lights, you're talking a lot of money.
Right.
You're
Right,
talking-
and that's where my fundraiser would come in to pay for those lights. And again, that's a 5-year plan, that's not a next year plan, that's a 5-year plan. So,
Is there any way to get the stumps done in the next week or 2 before it does snow? Because it's gonna be snow on the ground here, I would guess in the next 3 weeks, give or take. Yeah, I mean, is this something that can be accomplished relatively easily?
Yeah, this guy was supposed to call me 2 weeks ago. So.
yeah, well, he was supposed to call you, I think, a month ago, actually, cause I talked to him almost a month
Yeah.
ago, and then I've been leaving him messages about once a week, and I don't wanna make him upset.
Yeah,
Cause
so
I don't know if he just said, oh yeah, I can do it, and then, you know, how you volunteer and you kinda go, oh, maybe I shouldn't have
Maybe I
volunteered.
Yeah.
So I'm kinda thinking he's giving me that.
That sounds
So I did see him out at the park last week, and I said, hey, have you ever called Shane? And no. So I'll give you his number, and maybe you can call him, cause I don't know his email or anything.
Okay.
Can we,
Hi, thank you. What kind of a budget is set aside for the dog park? Or is it included just in something, or?
It's just included in the parks
Okay.
budget.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's
thank
nothing
you.
set aside for it.
I wonder if, perhaps instead of maybe doing like flagging some of the worst stumps, rather than, cutting things, I mean, cause like you said, you're gonna be constantly, can we mark them, have the volunteers mark them with a, I don't know, like those little posts or something other like that to get people's attention or something other?
The best would be painting.
Yeah. I didn't use the wood paint.
Yep.
I just used regular spray paint, cause that's all I had. So,
That's what we did last time, we just spray painted the roots that were coming out.
Right.
It seemed to work. It caught the stump grinder's attention a little more.
right, and that's another thought I had, as long as he was coming in, then I didn't have to sit there and figure out where it was. But are there wood chips, do we have wood chips in the city that we could use?
The city has
Yeah,
wood
we
chips
have-
up at the west side
West side
compost,
compost.
area for residents to, you know, take, I think,
Yeah.
right?
And we'll be busy, here in the next month or so doing our trimming, so we can always dump them at the dog park.
Yeah, so I mean, if you wanna make piles,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we can haul them.
Sounds
So would it be okay if, for like the smaller stumps, you know, can we just kind of dig around them? And I know I already got poo-pooed on that, cause it's gonna ruin your blade the minute you hit dirt, I get it. But, for just like the smaller ones that don't need a grinder, can you dig a hole and then just take an axe and chop it off and fill the hole back up? Is that something,
The volunteers wanna do that.
okay?
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. I mean, just for the smaller stumps, and I think the bigger stumps, it's just more of an erosion, so you can kinda see that, where again, I think once you hit the wood chips, it's not gonna be that much of a danger or a hazard.
I do think that, you know, I mean, it really is a place where it's, you know, on the people using the park to, you know, to watch where they're stepping and, you know, I mean, just like any park you go to, it's, you know, there's gonna be, you know, rough patches and things like that, and I mean, it's not a field, it wasn't
Right,
ever a field.
right. No, I understand
and
that.
stuff, so, you know, yeah, I don't wanna start us down the road where we're, you know, wanting to basically, I mean, I think everybody liked that it was, you know, having the trees and things like that and, you know, the open space, but, you know, that, you know, it wasn't just a flat open field, you know,
Right.
it has, so. I just don't wanna raise people's expectations that it's going to be like paved paths
Oh, no, I
and
understand that,
things
I
like
understand that,
so,
but, you know,
yeah,
all I guess I can say is just maybe
yeah.
someday if anybody has a little bit of time and you're driving
Yeah.
past the park, walk the park and,
Yeah,
and it's not the big stumps I'm worried about, it's the little ones that just stick out of the ground like that, and it's kinda hard to see with
yeah.
everything else there,
Yeah.
so, just, I thought it might be a hazard for somebody else.
So do we need like a motion to do this, or how's this work? I mean, do we
I don't
vote on
think
it?
so. I don't think there's nothing.
If we're not spending anything, you know, we're not putting forward we don't have any amounts or anything like that for spending.
Okay.
Do you
So
have a
let's get this
idea
on the
of
vote.
what it
You have
might
a problem with
cost?
this stuff thing?
I don't have an
You
accurate
say so.
number worked
Yeah,
up at
no,
this
I don't
point
know.
to
Okay,
present
sure.
to the group here. If we want to visit that, we can do that.
Okay, I didn't wanna waste your time
Yeah,
doing
no,
it and
that's
then,
fine.
Yeah, just give me what you think you would need to make, you know, 8 to 10 benches.
Part of it was what does the community want to potentially move forward with, and then we'll take a deeper look at what that would cost in materials. We can do that exercise.
Okay.
I think the benches are a good place to start.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm assuming they're gonna be like creosote wood, you know, I mean, yeah, okay,
Treated, yeah.
treated, yeah.
Yeah, well, we need a vote. I don't think we need a vote on that.
I got these county people, they vote on everything, and all children.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that.
Stuck in my head, so I don't know.
Oh,
what
gotcha.
it all entails, I know Jake got some
What's that?
info.
Yeah,
I'm just
do-
wondering if we need a formal approval for the friends group or the,
Oh, depending on what we wanna do, if they
Yeah.
wanna be like a
Do we-
volunteer group for fundraising, if they wanna start like their 501c3, which there's a fee to that, I think it's
yeah, cause that's, I wasn't sure how that was gonna work.
right.
So I didn't know, like, if we did the fundraising, we gave it to the city,
Yeah.
but then is it gonna be allocated just for the dog park? Or will it be in a slush fund for all the
It would
parks?
depend on how you guys want to direct us to use the funds, I
Yeah.
would say. But I'm just thinking from a legality point, do we have to vote or vote in for the volunteer group so that it's on record saying that they're working at the park, or do we not need that? That might be a soon
I mean, there'd be
question.
some
Volunteer, yeah, do we
waivers,
need the volunteer liability,
waivers,
you know,
Yeah.
that sort
stuff
of,
like that,
yeah.
which we
Get-
have, we've done that before.
Do, you know, because we have
I mean,
other
You guys can check with Sue Shields and see if.
with like
Yeah,
the
I know I asked her
recreation
about the
Yeah.
department and
donation
stuff, so they
Yeah,
must have
yeah,
liability.
ask her about that, we can always do that next time too.
Right.
And
Yeah,
there's
they have
no
to do
rush
it.
on
So then if,
Education.
let's say we
Oh,
can go ahead with the volunteers, would we be able to
Right.
put it out on Facebook? Do you guys put it out on Facebook? Do you put it out saying, you know, have a little flyer at the front of the gate? Cause again, that's what Rome does. They'll put everything out on Facebook, you know, hey, by the way, we're having cleanup day on such and such a day, you know. And they kinda say, bring your favorite drink, but,
That's
that
a
kinda-
different one.
That's a different group, yeah. And some people do bring like little dishes to pass just because we're all working there and, you know, they grab their shovels and rakes and we clean up all the dog waste and, you know, trim trees that are, you know, in people's faces if you're walking along the gate or something like that. Just again, to let people know that, and we do bring the dogs because there's no machinery or anything.
Just axes.
Just, well,
Yeah, we won't ax them.
we won't
The
actually.
dogs are
not
safe,
to.
it's the people that.
Yeah, you know, but they bring their own shovels and rakes and, you know, we go around and
Yeah.
clean anything up.
Thanks.
So just to kind of give it a public,
Send that way
Thank
out.
you
Yep,
very
Just
much.
let me know.
okay.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everybody.
Lex.
Yeah.
Nice to meet
Um,
you.
You know, just to kind of, and we don't usually, well, I should say, they don't usually give a lot of notice. It's just usually like a week's notice.
Facebook page, don't you?
That's good enough also.
And then just put up a little flyer saying, hey, come to the cleanup day and bring your dog and have some fun. And again, for Rome, it usually takes them less than an hour because they get a lot of people. And they also do that once a year for their benches and their painting. So they're the ones that take care of all the waste stations and all the benches, and that kind of stuff. And, you know, usually takes them about an hour because they get about 10-15 people out there and they stay about 3 hours. Just,
So do you have a little volunteer group established
I'm
already?
starting one,
I'm
so,
one.
yes,
No, I don't.
there's about 3 other people there, and most of them are just retired, so it's not,
Yeah.
you know, like we don't have a whole lot of muscle or anything, these guys are gonna just,
Well, I think it's great. I mean, any little bit of help out there.
Right.
I think we should accept.
I know a lot,
but,
and she knows a lot of people,
yeah.
but,
I can guilt them.
The more the merrier, even to keep an eye on the park.
right,
Yeah.
and that's nice too, and like I said, you know, every time the kind of the 5 people that I'm talking with, every time you're out there, you kinda say, you know, if you see an empty milk jug, you know, put it in between the fences so it doesn't blow away or the dogs don't chew on it.
Yeah.
And again, I think the more people see that people are doing it, the more they're gonna respect it. And
Well-
again, I'm just trying to literally take what Rome did and bring it here because it's working.
That's good.
And if you go out to Rome, I mean, again, it's a nice park. Go out to Rome and sit for an hour on a Saturday afternoon, and you get a lot of tourists. You get a lot of people that have cabins there or that are golfing for the weekend, and they walk in and, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. And you see them throwing the ball, and you see them picking it up, and you see them putting it back. Just because I think it's a nice park.
We could always put a flyer up at Southwood County Park as well, because that park is full a lot. And people knowing, I mean, it's not that far from the lake to come and find a spot where your dogs can run around,
Yeah.
Well, I
and it's a beautiful.
don't think that we have, anything concrete that we need to vote on at this point, and, so I'm gonna move ahead in that. I think we kinda covered it. Bills, does anybody remember the bills?
I reviewed the bills, they look good. The bigger bill for the month was, I guess, when we had just putting the natural gas in
Yeah.
at the zoo.
Yep, and that will be, I had to cover that with the park outlay money, just until we get the funds from Legacy Foundation.
Okay.
So that will come back as a negative,
Okay.
hopefully by next month.
Okay.
So I make a motion that we accept the bills.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Alright, and, I forget my wording. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Sorry. Staff reports.
So, let's see, volleyball and basketball practice games started last week for our leagues. We ended up with 13 co-ed volleyball teams, 7 women's volleyball teams, 8 basketball teams, and 27 pickleball players, which we still have openings for the winter season for pickleball. Flag football, we had the last playoff games, well, they were last week because they were rained out the weekend, or the week before. The winners were the Field Daddies and the Hot Pockets. If you go on our Facebook page, there's a video of the teams, that our timekeeper did. It looks really nice, and I think the players enjoyed that as well, so prizes will be mailed to them this week. For swim club, we are up to 50 swimmers now. And because of that, we're adding Tuesdays to our practice schedule, as well as hiring a third coach. We did have an interview with somebody last week, so I'm just waiting for the background information for her so she can get started. And then we also had some changes that the coaches had started, because we had some feedback at the beginning of the season with dealing with some of the younger kids, because the practices are a lot of kids. So they're trying to make the practices more fun, but also trying to make them just safer for the number of kids that are in the water. So we're actually gonna talk about that again tomorrow morning with the coaches as well. But I have heard some good feedback just on some of the fun things that they're doing for the kids to kind of trick them into exercising, swimming, but they're playing games while they're doing it, so they've been having some more fun at practices. We do need another gymnastics instructor, if anybody knows. Ours is going to be working at a different job for the rest of the winter, and they'll be coming back probably in the summer and next school year, but we'll need somebody else for that. I'm just working on the programming for winter and spring, and then also we're working on the Tree City application, and we're going to be doing a tax stuff for 4 season pass specials, and then those will also be distributed to the schools.
Alright, staff report, field staff, removed some dead ash on the West Side Expressway, planted the remaining of the trees from our gravel bed nursery, winterized all the city park bathrooms, blew out all the sprinkler systems, all the landscape areas were all cut back, ready for winter. We did something different this year, we aerated all of our playing fields, so we actually used the school district's tractor and aerated, and that took about almost 3 days to do all that. Then for building maintenance, just getting all the furnaces ready, chillers down, boilers up and running for the winter months, and then a couple days of stump restorations. That was the month of October.
Did you say you were gonna do some work on the river otter exhibit this week?
Oh yeah, and sorry, working with engineering, getting all the site prep, and then just kinda waiting for one of their projects to get done. We'll start tying into the sewer and water line over there. The gas is all ran, so yeah, getting some plans together.
Well, Dean would be amiss if I didn't ask, how our prairie dog's
Oh.
doing. So, how many do we have?
There's still 5, so yeah, they're doing well.
Time to be 25.
Spring is coming.
Yep.
Alright.
So with the paradox, are you gonna put something over it? Or
Uh,
you're not?
No, they'll be fine. We'll put some straw, some hay
They
over
won't,
it.
they won't dig out
I
from
don't
the
think
snow?
so. We'll keep
Just
an eye on
let
it.
it pack some.
They have to keep
They
it
did
going.
try to escape.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I know Wildwood, they didn't have anything over theirs or
No.
anything, so.
I don't know, maybe they won't, but we'll keep an eye on it.
They tried
Hopefully
once.
they'll
Put up a trail cam,
Yeah.
just watch what they're doing at night.
Yeah,
Alright,
not a bad idea.
okay. And any questions, anything else?
I got a question here. This one lives by your bills, what is that for?
That's hay, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the straw for next year's at the zoo.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, that's what that is.
Yep.
Okay.
trying to think for a second there, McCormick's,
Yeah.
yeah,
He doesn't have an official business name, so
no,
it's
just
just on the bill.
a farmer
Oh,
investor.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Alright, I appreciated the work you guys did, I don't know, just making things look a little more festive, you guys put up, the
Oh,
corn
corn
stalks and
stalks,
stuff,
yeah.
I love it.
that was
Looked nice down
I
there,
suggested
so.
pumpkins, but staff said they didn't wanna clean them up in the roads.
Well, the squirrels are doing
True.
a good job on mine, so
Yeah.
I don't know, so.